Have you ever stopped to think about what really holds our digital world together? It's not just one thing. It's actually three incredibly powerful forces that have become so tangled up, so intertwined, they're basically inseparable now. So today, let's unravel this amazing technological braid. And that brings us to the big question, right? Are we looking at three distinct fields here, networking, cloud, and cybersecurity? Or have they actually merged into one single powerful force that's driving pretty much everything we do online? For a long time, the way we thought about this was super simple and honestly pretty separate. Networking, that was just the pipes that move data. The cloud, well, that was the big reservoir where you stored everything. And cybersecurity, they were the guards at the gate. But that old, siloed way of thinking, yeah, it's officially obsolete. Okay, that brings us to our first section. 3 fields, 1 foundation. We're going to dive into how these once separate strands have woven themselves into a single foundational core. See, at their very heart, all 3 of these domains share the exact same mission. It's something called the CIA triad. That's confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Just think about it for a second. Networking is all about availability. The cloud makes things even more available. And cybersecurity is there to make sure everything stays confidential and maintains its integrity. They're all playing for the same team, just from different positions. And look, this isn't just some high-level, abstract idea. This is what's happening right now, on the ground, in the very IT departments that build and run our entire digital world. In fact, get this, a 2023 global survey found that a massive 75% of IT professionals now see networking and security is either highly interconnected or completely integrated. This isn't just some passing trend. It's the reality for the people doing the work every day. The walls between these teams are dissolving. Which brings us to the core metaphor of our explainer today, the braid. Any single strand is useful on its own, sure, but when you weave them all together, you get something that is so much stronger, way more flexible, and incredibly resilient. And that, right there, is our modern IT ecosystem. So let's see this braid in action. How exactly does this convergence show up and power the digital life you and I experience every single day? So what does this convergence actually look like when the rubber meets the road? How do these 3 forces team up in ways we can all recognize? Okay, let's start with something we are all probably very familiar with, the remote workday. Doesn't matter if you're at home or at a coffee shop, this technological braid is the silent partner making it all possible. It really is like a seamless 3-part harmony. First, networking gives you that fundamental connection to the internet. Second, the cloud is what delivers all those essential tools, your video calls, your shared documents, all that stuff. And third, cybersecurity wraps it all up in a protective layer with things like VPNs to encrypt your data and multi-factor authentication to prove you are who you say you are. And it's not just about work. Think about the last time you bought something online. That entire journey, from just browsing a site to hitting that final Buy Now button, is another perfect example of this convergence at play. So here's how that braid works for e-commerce. Networking acts like a super efficient traffic cop, routing your requests to the closest server to make things fast. The cloud provides that incredible on-demand scalability you need for a huge sales event. And all the while, cybersecurity is working overtime, protecting the site with firewalls and fending off attacks that could knock it offline. All right, now let's peel back another layer of the onion here. This convergence, it isn't just about the final app you use. It is woven into every single level of the technology stack, from the physical wires in the ground all the way up to the app on your phone. It all starts right at the bottom with the physical stuff. This is where networking provides the cables and routers, the cloud is the actual data center buildings, and security is literally about physical access. We're talking locks on doors and cameras watching the hardware. Move one level up and we hit the virtual network. Here, networking concepts are all done in software. The cloud gives us tools like virtual private clouds, or VPCs, which are basically your own private, isolated slice of the public cloud. And then security wraps around this layer, filtering traffic and encrypting data as it zips around. Next up is the computing layer, which is where your apps actually run. The cloud provides the virtual machines or containers, while networking handles how they all talk to each other. Security then comes in with smart tactics like microsegmentation, which creates these tiny, secure bubbles around each app so they only talk to what they're supposed to. And finally, we get to the top, the application layer. This is the part you actually interact with. Networking gives us the APIs, the cloud delivers the app itself, and security protects it all with tools like identity and access management, which is basically the bouncer at the club door, checking your ID and your permissions. So given this completely new integrated world, how are companies and people adapting? Well, this final section looks at the huge strategic shifts that are happening as we speak. That old way of doing things, with a separate networking team, a separate security team, a separate cloud team, it just doesn't fly anymore. The new way is all about integration. We're seeing the rise of these cross-functional teams with names like DevSecOps, where developers, security pros, and operations folks are all working together from day one. And education is racing to catch up. Universities are now offering degrees that combine these fields. And in the professional world, the new goal for a lot of people is the trifecta of certifications. One in networking, one in security, and one in a major cloud platform. That's a direct reflection of the skills employers are desperately looking for. And this all leads to a new guiding philosophy called zero trust. With the cloud and remote work, that old idea of a safe, trusted internal network is just gone. The principle of zero trust is simple but so powerful. Never trust, always verify. Every single request for access gets checked every time. And that's a strategy that is flat out impossible to pull off without blending networking, cloud, and security together. So, to bring it all home, these three domains are no longer separate pillars holding up the roof. They have converged to become a single, interwoven, and incredibly resilient foundation. They are the bedrock that our entire digital world is now built upon. Our digital world is built on this braid of networking, cloud, and cybersecurity. So the final question I want to leave you with is this. Is the braid that your organization, or even you yourself, relies on, is it strong enough?